who is a personal finance and wealth management expert who transited from the corporate world to a full-fledged entrepreneur. Our mission is simple: to create financial literacy in Africa, which she does through various platforms. She offers interesting and practical insights into understanding personal finance as well as wealth management. So I'm very excited. Hey, she's there. Hello. Hi, how are you doing this evening?
I'm great, thank you. Ooh, guess join Kaline.
So excited to have you on our live. This is our first live. No, it's not your first live. I watched what you did with those sugar people.
That's nice. Thank you for joining, everyone.
Yes. So we're just going to go right into the conversation. And there's so many questions. We've received really good questions. People are very, interested in their finances and in, growing their wealth this new year. So, but how are you feeling? How is the new year like for you?
Fantastic. I'm just rearing to go. I'm very excited about the year. And that's why we thought we should have this session, because I need everybody to be on board and to get their finances off the ground, to have a great year, because almost all the goals that we want to have are tied to money. So if we start the year with some basic knowledge, then it helps us to go through this journey of financial independence. And that's what I want for all of us.
Awesome. Okay, so what is your one word or financial word, if there's any, that you are tying, for this year?
Passive income. That's mine. Have to sleep at night and have the money dropping into my account.
That's amazing. Wouldn't we all want that? And I mean, for you to mention passive income, exactly. The first question we have here, the person wants to know
exactly what we're talking about. The first question is,
question says, how can I operate an extra source of income?
Well, first of all, it doesn't just happen. Let's say you're working in an office, you're getting a salary. For most people, that salary is never, ever going to be enough. Mm-hmm. You're very lucky if it is. Now, if you're really good at your job, I would ask for a raise. Just ask for. If you're efficient, you're punctual, responsive, and it's got to the point where your team can't do without you, you could ask for a raise, and you might just get it.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Ask for a raise.
Anytime we don't ask, and you don't get. So just think about it and see what you can do. But apart from that, most people have some skill, especially the creatives. They have something they can do to earn additional income. So what is it that you can do? I really believe that every one of us has some talent. Some of us are monetizing that talent, but many people are just not monetizing that. So think about it this January. What is that thing that you do anyway? Some people at the weekend or in the evening, they're pursuing that passion. They're writing a story, they're reading, they're singing, they're taking photographs, they're drawing, so many things. But have you ever thought about actually monetizing that passion? Because those are great ways in which you can earn additional income. Now, I also find that it's important to say that if you do plan to have a side hustle, because this is all about having a side hustle or having your talent work for you, be careful. You don't want to end up getting so tired that by the time you get to work the next morning, you're too tired to perform in your primary role. The last thing you want is to get fired this new year because you're, cheating on your boss's time. So whilst I do support a side hustle and monetizing your talent and passion, be careful about a conflict of interest. I think it's just so important that we put that in, because a lot of people will cheat on their boss's time to earn additional income. If your side hustle comes to the point where it seems like it's overtaking your real job in terms of your passion, your energy, your intellect, it's time to move on. Okay? But don't give up a great job when you aren't ready. Okay? Sometimes it pays to just stay in there and keep working and moving up the ladder. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Not everyone has the stamina, the energy, can take that amount of, depending on their own situation and so on. So be careful before you jump off a great job to pursue that side hustle. But those are some of the ways. There's, I have a few more written down. Let me think of what. Oh, another one, an extra income. Let's say you're living in a 2-bedroom apartment or 3-bedroom apartment. You live alone, single person. Perhaps if you do your due diligence and check out people's backgrounds, you could let out one of your rooms, Airbnb. That's a way of making. Maybe you have a car and you think you can be an Uber or Taxify. These are just things that people are doing right now that maybe you just haven't thought about. You take fantastic photographs. At a weekend, you could take pictures at a wedding, or you could actually start selling your photographs online. People always need great shots, and we don't have enough fantastic shots localized for social media locally. So if you have a fantastic shots of Lagos, of Nigeria, of different parts of the world, that would be great. Are you always writing? You're never putting it together to publish? Maybe it's time. And then, of course, blogging. If you're an expert in something, people want to know about it. There's no point being an expert that nobody knows about anything that you're doing. So if you're an expert, maybe it's time to tell us what your expertise is and have a blog on Instagram, on Facebook or on LinkedIn, whatever it is, see what you can do. If all else fails, your job is just not paying you enough and you have no ideas, it's time to look for a job that pays you a little better. Okay?
That's a great one. Great tips. I've even gotten something, because for me,
another one. Sometimes you're so good at something. There's some mathematics geniuses, and every parent is looking for a maths tutor for their child. Everyone's got to pass that terrible maths exam. Maybe that's you. They pay handsomely at weekends for children on holidays. Maybe you should teach mathematics. People need business plans. If you're one of those who is so good at writing a business plan, you can earn. So these are things you've just got to sit down and think of what those skills you have are. What are the things that, think of 3 things that your friends, your family always praise you about and say how good you are about particular things. That's what your side hustle could well be in that mix.
I love this one. Think of 3 things. When I'm going to go think of my 3 things. So now here is one. I think this one would have come from a millennial. How does one keep record of spending without getting overwhelmed with the task?
Okay, I'll tell you what I do when my spending gets out of control. I mean, it's boring, basic. There's no fancy thing to it. Of course, I'll use my budgeting app most of the time, but sometimes I just need an exercise book in my car, and I literally write down everything I spend.
Wow.
And it just throws up so many things. You just find out where your money is going. Because sometimes you literally don't know what happened to your money. You think somebody stole it. So you just write everything down for about a month and just track your expenses. It really does help you to keep track. But I find apps online are really good ways with spending categories and keeping track of where your money is going. And that many banks have a good one. Or just go online and download a good budget app. We have a very basic Excel one. Some people just want to see it on an Excel spreadsheet. So if you go to our website, moneymatterswithnimi.com, and go to budget, you'll find Nimi's budget. And on there, literally, we've thought of every category you can think of, from air to petrol to groceries, everything for a whole year. And it just helps you see how much you're spending on transport or how much you're spending on food or entertainment. And then that helps you adjust and see where you can cut back. But there really is no magic formula for, tracking your money and seeing how to get not so overwhelmed with your money. You have got to be disciplined. Sorry to say, you've got to be consistent. It doesn't just happen. If you're looking to build long-term wealth where you can really enjoy your comforts, it takes hard work upfront. And the time is now. If you're looking at those incredible goals you've set for yourself for this year and the next decade, then you need to get started. And it's real. When you can visualize what you want for yourself, it's very, very exciting working towards it. And you literally can see the improvement every day. Initially, when you start this habit of tracking your expenses and trying to save and automate your savings, setting money aside every month, it seems difficult. But after a few months, when you actually see how it's grown, then it really encourages you. So the key is to just get started.
And this budgeting app on your website is free?
Sorry?
The budgeting app on your website, is it
yes,
free?
You just download it. Yes.
Wow. So I think
just download the spreadsheet. It's not an app. It's just a very simple
spreadsheet. Yes.
That's a great one to do for a few months. But if you're that way inclined, otherwise, you have an app. Download an app. We will have an app before June. That's in process now. But for now, it's just literally a very simple, basic Excel spreadsheet that totals everything up, so you can see what you spent on shoes, what you spent on the spa, what you spent on your training, whatever it is, it's all there. So many categories.
Wow. So the first to do towards 2020 and your money matters, I think, is go download the budgeting tool. Yes. And use it. Somebody's asking for the website, so I've just typed it for you. Okay. Please get it, www.moneymatterswithnimi.com. Go get just go download it and start helping yourself. Thank you so much for that. Now there's another question. These questions are just following. This person says, how can low-income earners save and invest? Most of us in Nigeria are low-income earners.
That's true. Yeah.
Yes.
Something that people say, and some people find it very irritating, but I'm going to say it anyway. So it says that if you are earning 100,000 naira a month and you can't save 1,000, even when you're earning 1 million or 10 million, you will not save. Okay? And I really believe that. So no matter how little you have, you need to try to set something aside for a rainy day. And I know how difficult that sounds. And it can be absurd when you find that there's nothing left at the end of the month. But that's what we were talking about earlier. How do you then earn additional income? So I do accept that there's some amounts of money you might be paid that just doesn't cover your costs. Clearly, that's not what you should be earning. So you've got to look inwards and start to think of how else you can earn additional income. But what you're earning, you've got to find a way of saving. Otherwise, you're just standing in one spot. And I'm not anybody in my platforms standing on one spot in 2020. We're all moving forward together.
Yes. Oh, that's great. And so what are some easy tips really? So just start to save and invest. Especially investments, quite confusing.
Tracking expenses was one. And then determining just an amount that you can afford. Ideally, say the minimum should be 10%, but some people will say that they can't even find 10% to save and invest. So start with 5%. The truth is, for mutual funds, for example, the minimum is 5,000 naira. Even if it takes you a couple of months to get to that 5,000, just start. Just start to open that mutual fund and start to put money aside. The easiest way to do that is to automate your finances. If you're fortunate enough to be employed and you have your money paid, your salary paid on the same day, then it's very easy to have the bank debit your account, say the day after or the day it arrives in your account, so that it's automated. I find that once you automate your savings in that way, then it's you don't forget. It's about paying yourself upfront, paying yourself first. Because if you wait until the end of the month, I don't know about you, but for me, there's never anything left if you haven't saved automatically upfront. So I would urge you to see your bank and see how you can transfer money to your salary or current account every month as soon as your salary hits into another account that is not tied to your ATM card, please.
No ATMs to save.
Because if your savings is tied to that card, you're going to just go there and withdraw the money, okay? Now, I know that most people do not even have that regular salary coming in all the time. So for those that are entrepreneurs, it takes even more discipline, okay? You've got to force yourself to pay yourself a salary. Too many entrepreneurs are not paying themselves a salary. They just have one pot of money, the business and their personal finances, which are mingled. Very, very dangerous. You can't afford to have your personal monies mixed with the company money. So have two separate bank accounts. Pay yourself a salary. I realize that your company may not be able to pay you in the early stages because you would earn much more if you were working for an established company. Mm-hmm. But let the company pay you what it can afford, at least pay you something. Mm-hmm. And then it can owe you the rest. So in the books, it'll say loan to founder, loan to CEO, whatever it is. But out of that money it pays you, I need you to save part of it, no matter how little that is. Just save a little something. So automate the finances, make sure something is going out. We need an emergency fund. The objective is to try to build up, say, 6 months to 12 months of your expenses. It sounds absurd, but you need it. It's quite alarming. I believe 4,000 were laid off this month, this new year.
Yes.
And they didn't have a job. Now, maybe the banks were kind enough to pay 3 months gratuity. I don't know what was done. But that's not going to help you if you can't get a job in 3 months or 6 months. That's why the emergency fund of keeping 6 to 12 months, I prefer 12 months. If you can try to save 12 months of your expenses over time in an account that you're not going to touch, that is your emergency fund. So if things come up suddenly, you aren't totally shaken. You can cope while you tide yourself over your family, school fees, and so on, whilst you look for what you're going to do next. In case there are any of those people that have been laid off in this last month, it's a brand new year. And, sometimes it sounds ridiculous, but that trauma that you've gone through, that shock you've had, may just be that impetus that takes you to a whole new ride that's exciting and positive. So don't just be down in the dumps and thinking there's no tomorrow and so on. This could just be that positive boost that you need. Every disappointment like that ends up being an amazing blessing down the line. I thought I should say that because I know that there's a lot of people out there, families whose primary breadwinner have lost their jobs. It's not the end of the world, and you may have to look for another job, or you may now find this is the time to start that incredible idea that you've been nursing but were too scared to actually bring to fruition.
Wow, that was so good. Thank you for that word. I'm sure that encouraged someone. Now, there's this question, this one. It says, hello, Nimi. Please, I'd like to ask how a spouse can help incorporate healthy financial habits on his or her partner. My partner spends extravagantly on quality but pricey things, even when there's little available. I have been trying so hard to convince him to sometimes consider budgeting or going for a second option to save finances. Please, what can be done about this?
Wow. That's a big one. And money is one of the leading causes of friction, mistrust, and divorce in the world, not just in Nigeria. Unfortunately, most couples don't even discuss money before they actually become a team, a married couple. So for a start, for those who aren't married that are listening, it's important to discuss money with your partner. Now, not on the first date, please. There's somebody off on the first date asking how much money they have in the bank and what their spending habits are. But at least when you start getting serious in the relationship, you can start observing and start discussing some of the joint goals and plans and decide how you want to manage your money. Now, if you're already married and your partner is quite extravagant, I liked what she said about quality, though. That's good. Imagine if it was really hopeless things that were of no use, of no value.
Quality but pricey.
But pricey. Oh, I had another mail about someone's wife who's got over 100 pairs of shoes, and she bought another pair last week.
Wow. Wow.
Real trouble about that, but a girl's got to buy the shoes anyway. So I think, first of all, don't be judgmental. Money conversations can be very, very awkward.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to not be judgmental. Count to 10 and try and approach it when you aren't angry, and sit down. When you're talking about the family goals together, it's less threatening. Okay? So when you talk about the things that the family has to achieve in terms of rent to pay, there's school fees to pay, there's, one of you has to go back to school. There are joint goals. There's a house, you're trying to pay for a mortgage, there's debt, you're already in debt and you've got to pay down that debt. You have to think about all those things and see, when you're as a team, look towards those goals together and see how you can plan for them. But if you just accuse your spouse, or you're spending too much, we don't need this, we don't need that, it can be very, very grating. So communication is key. And then trying to build in a monthly money date night. Doesn't sound very romantic, but having once a month where you can talk about money, your individual goals and your joint goals. But if you're accusing and nagging, it's just not going to change the person. Okay? So when you buy something really nice and of good quality, we can say, oh, that's really, really great. What should we do next? Let's try and reduce our debt by so and so amount. Or the next time, let's pay a lump sum into our mortgage account. But don't just knock the wonderful new sound system or whatever it is.
Okay, great. And this person says...
Yes.
Okay, I think you had the last thing you said. What did you say just now?
Just to remember that the money matters are very sensitive in many homes, so you've got to handle it with wisdom. And make sure you're talking about money in a non-threatening way, so it doesn't become a quarrel every time money is discussed.
Oh, that's true. Great tips so far. It says, hello, I'm a student and I usually save in my spare account, but sometimes needs arise and I find myself spending out of the savings. Even when I tried using a savings app, I still went to extreme to ensure I was able to get hold of the money. In the end, I had absolutely nothing to show for my saving. What can I do?
Okay, well, I'm very pleased to hear that the student has gone to that length, having a savings app, and is really making an effort. That is fantastic. Because for young people, the greatest asset you have is time. And time is a fundamental for successful investing. So I think she's well on her saving investment journey. She's going to do very, very well. This is a short period where she's struggling. The key thing where you're struggling to save on a regular basis, I would say she should have a separate account for her savings, so that the money for her savings is kept separately and not, as we said before, not tied to her card, so it's not really accessible. To me, it seems her budget is not working, because if she's always tempted to go back to this savings account, it means that her income is not covering her income. So she needs to look for extra ways to earn income to cover her expenses. Keep having to go back to those to that account. Tracking her expenses as well will help her find out what exactly are these expenses and why is she always falling short of her budget. I hope she can download our spreadsheet as well and go through it properly for a few months and see where the problems are. Now, like I've spoken to some students recently, all of them are eating out every day or ordering a takeaway. That is quite expensive. It adds up. So maybe at the weekend, come together with friends and cook, if they're on campus, and cook a meal so that it lasts them for a few days. They don't have to go out and buy takeaway packs every single. It really does add up. So you find that students are spending 1,000 naira every day on a takeaway meal. That is serious money that could go into savings and investing. Okay.
I'm not a student yesterday because I traveled and I just got back, and I don't have food in my house. So I went to this restaurant that I like. I was going to buy food that I'll keep in my fridge and just eat this week till, you know, the weekend, and I can buy some, make food. And the prices have gone up. And I was like, oh my God, I was very upset. I have to go and cook this weekend because it does add up.
Yes, and it's nice to eat out sometimes. So build that into your budget. So let's say you decide to eat out once a week, buy a takeaway once a week, and eat out for entertainment once a month with your spouse or your partner. But you just can't afford to do it. Very few people can afford to do that unless they own the restaurant themselves. Oh, a question just came in. A young man was just saying that his girlfriend doesn't appreciate anything that he does for her in terms of spending money and so on. You know, part of building a relationship is showing appreciation and care.
Yeah.
And in a long-term relationship, you've got to really know whether this is something that you want to have happen. So you need to talk about it. You know, I hope you show appreciation when she does something nice for you. And you've got to tell her. Some people just are not very good at showing appreciation. It may not be deliberate, and she may be taking it for granted, but it's very important before she becomes your spouse, if you plan to marry her, that because this issue is bothering you, you discuss it, and she knows that it does bother you. Because otherwise, it causes real problems later on when it matters hugely. So talk about it. Any of those niggles about money should be discussed ideally early in the relationship before it gets more serious.
Okay, great. Now there's this question. This person says, how does one recover from a PTSD, post-traumatic depression, after being heavily defrauded?
Oh dear.
Right? The police can't help me. The bank promised to get back within 45 working days. This is already 4 months. How do they recover from a defrauding situation?
Wow. Well, I'm no expert, but PTSD is a very serious thing, and depression is so debilitating. Thanks to my wonderful friend Betty Irabo, we've all learned so much more about depression, and the key message from her is seek help. You need to seek help, especially if the money seems to have gone. So whilst you're trying to recover the money, it's important to seek help so you have a better ability of coping with such a shocking loss. And it's only when you're able to cope that you can also protect from that kind of. There are some key things to think about when you talk about fraud. When something sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. A lot of the fraud that we hear about now is people offering you incredible rates. For example, Treasury bill rates came down from about 13, 14% to 6%. If somebody comes to you now and offers you 25% per month, you're going to lose your money at some point. Many of these scams will give the first few people a reward, and then that entices them and others to put more money, and then they vanish literally into thin air. So be very careful. That's in terms of that sort of fraud. But otherwise, when we're online, there's a lot of issues. You've got to be careful using a public online system, logging out completely, going to sites that you're sure of. You've got to be very alert. We're in a digital world right now, but cybersecurity is a huge, huge issue. So we've got to be very careful about fraud. But the most important thing, lady, is to please seek help. Sorry, I've got a Hamatan cold. I've got to blow my nose. I'm so sorry.
I think everybody has it. Everybody's suffering from Hamatan. So thank you so much. That's like the last, the final question for today. Unless somebody asks. something else, but we've really exceeded our time. I wanted to ask though, what are some tips, quick tips that you can share for navigating, the new year in 2020? Quickly before you answer that, I do know that you have an event on Saturday. Is it this Saturday or next week?
Saturday, 25th of January.
25th of January. Okay.
Called 2020 Vision and your Money Matters. So it's literally a perfect opportunity to just get started. We're going to spend about 4 or 5 hours together and talk about all these areas about your financial resolution, some of the issues that you face. And it's great to have this done in January. You owe it to yourself before you start saving and investing to understand the basics of saving and investing so you can do the right thing and make the appropriate choices for yourself. So I would urge you to come. If you go onto our website, moneymatters@nimi.com, and register, or send an email, info@moneymatters@nimi.com. And do come along. It's costing just 5,000 naira, which is just...
What?
Yes, no, it's more or less free because we are making sure we have some sponsors that can actually products and be right there. You're going to have a full medical check and so on. But I do believe in charging a token sum so that learn to invest in themselves.
Yeah.
When you don't spend anything at all, maybe you don't appreciate it as much as when you pay just a token. So do try to come along. The biggest investment for all of us for 2020 has got to be investing in ourselves. Our greatest asset. Your boss is not going to send you on every course. You've got to start looking at courses that you will pay for yourself and educate yourself. Knowledge is power. So we've got to try to sort of develop ourselves, reading widely, attending courses, and then of course, health is wealth. So don't forget to take care of your health, because it's so hard for you to pursue your goals, do well at work if you aren't feeling right. Okay? So just remember that. It's great having you all there. We'll try and do this more often because we're getting a lot of great feedback.
This was so good. It was so good. But quickly, because we're Oliver Twist, we want to just get all the things that we can get from you. What are some quick tips that you can share? You've talked about investing in yourself, get a budget. What are some of the other things that can really help us to, win in our finances?
America is known as the month of the mentor. Mentoring is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself. So even if it's, make sure in January, before the end of January, you have found a mentor. Okay? Approach them. Approach someone that you've admired and you would like to get close to. If they turn you down, no problem, go to someone else. Now, mentorship is a two-way street. So it's not just for you to be mentored. What do you have to offer? Sometimes I've had mentors in the past, they'll come late to a meeting, they won't handle the assignment you gave and so on. Many of the mentors that I have, I've never met. But I'm observing them, I'm looking at everything they're doing, I'm watching how they manage their life, how they manage the different stages of life, and I learn so much. So it's part of investing yourself. That's my main message for today. It's investing in yourself, investing in knowledge, investing in the future, and investing in yourself. That's what I'd like you to go away with.
Wow, that's so amazing. Thank you so much.